Welcome back to some more Watanagashi. So, I think we're getting more and more into the story, so let's continue. Believing yourself chosen, as I'm reading again, a, like the last part, a nationalistic belief that you are part of a superior race or that you're a special clan chosen by the gods. They believe that they're a superior clan, so they believe strongly in cooperating with others, but they also end up being exclusionary towards other clans. I won't go into much detail, but it's the sort of national and religious ideas that lead to war. Of course, that goes for Japan too. A long time ago, the people of Hanamizawa strongly believed themselves different from humans, that they were above them. They believed that interaction with the lower world would sully their souls. So everyone believed that if one from the lower world came to the village, they would be sullied and suffered the wrath of a Yashiro-sama. Apparently that kept everyone away. Villages that hate outsiders come up all the time in Kindaichi novels. This was once a run-of-the-mill village of xenophobes. Damn. Well, they'll deny it to preserve their pride. It was all a long time ago, after all. Things are different now. Shion followed up quickly, having sensed the thorns in Toмотaki-san's words. Toмотaki-san, embarrassed at what he said, scratched at his head. So this shrine worships Oyashiro-sama, thinks of Hanamizawa as holy ground, and it's a symbol of their traditional hatred of the outside world. I get it. So that's why they chose the shrine of Hanamizawa's guardian spirit as their base of operations, to resist the sullied dam construction project that came from the outside. Correct, smiled Takano, pleased. She must dislike stupid people. Damn. Anyway, again with that, superstition, every last bit of it. The villagers gave everything, desperate to oppose the dam construction. Last bit of it, man. And right in the midst of it, the incident drove home the finishing blow. Oyashiro-sama's curse. The person managing the construction site of the Hanamizawa Dam was murdered 4 years ago, I believe. It took the newspapers by storm. Do you remember it? No, not really. He had a fight with a subordinate and was beaten to death with a pickaxe. His limbs and head were torn off and the remains disposed of. Already seen that, but let's go with that. One of those dismemberment homicides. They were all the rage at one point. Such a gruesome incident. But it was just that, an incident. A person caused the incident after all. Should they really put it down to the curse? Then the following year, the man who had organized Hanamizawa's group of dam proponents. He fell from a cliff while on vacation and died. Apparently it was an accident. Of course, most of Hanamizawa was hostile towards him. The police were all over the case as if it were a homicide, but in the end it was judged to have been an accident. Now it's an accident. This is the most curse-like one, but it's still far-fetched. And then on the next year, this time the priest of this shrine contracted an unknown illness and suddenly died. This may sound a little rude, but the old priest was kind of a wait-and-see type. The whole village was in an uproar about the dam, but he just kind of didn't seem to want to bother. The shrine was the symbol of the opposition movement, and its priest, well, his attitude worked against him. The villagers at the time had hoped for a leader, but their hopes were betrayed. Some people were apparently pretty angry too. So at the time, all the older people were like, this is Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's what they said. It seemed like every year, dam-related people the village had resentment towards were dying. It was pretty creepy. Oh, and also, it's interesting. All of these incidents and accidents always happen on the nights of the Watanagashi festival. What? See? Starting to sound like a curse now, isn't it? Then the year after that, in other words, last year, the sister-in-law of the man who was the leader of the dam proponents, the one who accidentally died, was discovered dead, having been beaten to death. Of course, they caught that criminal. See? Really seems like a curse, huh? 4 years in a row. Each one of the incidents and accidents were relatively commonplace, but every single one of them happening on the night of the festival, worshipping Oyashiro-sama? That's not normal. The old folks have been blindly accepting Oyashiro-sama's curse because of the incidents these past few years. Even younger people too. At first they thought it was stupid, but now nobody makes fun of it. Yeah, I can see where she's coming from. Even me, even if I didn't think there was a curse at all, thinking about all the incidents like this makes me feel like maybe it's real. Maybe it's real? For example, just look at the preparations for the festival you were doing today. Everything might have gone crazy during the battle against the dam, but just a few years ago, the Watanagashi festival was never this well attended. Well, I guess you're right. If we didn't have Oyashiro-sama to talk about, we wouldn't all be coming to a festival like this, huh? There's a lot of people who say that infidels might be punished, so they really need to go to Oyashiro-sama's festival. Shion nodded as if she were mocking herself. So how about now? Keiichi-kun, you're starting to get the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the curse is real, aren't you? I mean, you can't just laugh off people related to the dam construction project all dying like that. If even I feel like this now, then the more superstitious members of the village must feel stronger than that. Well, I mean, I still don't think there's a curse. I can understand those that believe there is, though. Wow, Kei-chan. You can really keep a cool head about this. Shion grinned, realizing I'd rejected the curse. If it's neither a curse nor a coincidence, then what should we make of these incidents? Takano-san said, smiling playfully as if posing a riddle. Neither a curse nor a coincidence, but every year someone dies. What should we make of that, then? Toмотaki-san, catching on to the fact that I had no idea what to make of it, opened his mouth and came to my aid. Takano-san is suggesting that it might be the work of real people. Eh? Simple process of elimination would have gotten me there. I was a little taken aback at not having realized the answer immediately. Well, think about it. If it's neither a curse nor a coincidence, then people must be willingly carrying it out. It's the only explanation, right? Pressed Takano-san. I smiled bitterly in spite of myself. Here I was just a few minutes ago, thinking the very concept of a curse was absolutely absurd. When she suggested it was someone's doing, I ended up thinking there wasn't any way it could be a person. But Takano-san was right. It was either a curse or it was a person's doing. If unrealistic things like curses didn't exist, then the obvious next step would be to start thinking it was people behind it. But if that was the case, I glanced at Shion. If the culprit is a person, then they'd have to be someone from Hinamizawa. That's what the police officer Oishi-san thinks right now, too. Hey, wait. That can't be. I thought I now knew the person Mion didn't want to talk about this. If Oyashiro-sama's curse really existed, then that's fine. It would be divine judgment for the damn project business. However, if Oyashiro-sama's curse didn't exist, which it obviously didn't, then the culprit would most likely be someone from Hinamizawa. The villagers had worked desperately to oppose the damn construction project. I knew they had used all sorts of methods to fight against it. If one of those methods was maybe... People whispered that Oyashiro-sama's curse could be the doing of a secret group in the damn resistance movement. Shion dryly put words to my exact thoughts. Of course, I didn't expect it. She was from Hinamizawa, so I didn't think she'd come out and say it herself. If you calm down and think about it, anyone would come to the damn... anyone could... If you calm down and think about it, anyone would come to the same conclusion. There wouldn't be a motive for anyone but people who benefit from opposing the damn project, right? I guess that's true. Admitting to the existence of a darker side of the damn conflict would be rude to Mion, who spoke of it so highly. So I couldn't just accept Shion's seemingly logical viewpoint. One more thing. The police probably don't know this. There's proof that someone from Hinamizawa committed these crimes, and the people of Hinamizawa know it. What? Shion rebukes me to keep my voice down. Sorry, but this proof, what is it? It's the fact that one person dies and one more person disappears. One more person disappears. Did that mean that someone besides the one who died from the curse was a sacrifice? What do you mean by disappear? They just vanish and you never see them again? That's right. Oh god, the creepy look on her face. That's right. Suddenly and without a trace. As she spoke, Shion pretended to do a trick with her hands like she were making a magician's hat disappear. One dies a mysterious death and one disappears, never to be seen again. A strange vanishing act. But then why, how does that equate to someone from Hinamizawa being the culprit? Well, actually, Hinamizawa has this one really old legend. It's about how people offer sacrifices to Oyashiro-sama to calm his wrath. Sacrifices? Yes. They say they used to wrap a living person up in a bamboo mat and let them slowly sink down into a bottomless swamp. Takano-san, though explaining something pretty terrible, has a look of glee on her face as she did so. As far as I can glean from the literature, it actually took 3 days and 3 nights for them to sink. See? Even people a long time ago liked symbolism. As the body sunk, Oyashiro-sama's anger would be quelled. Both were submerged into the deep. Takano-san was the only one laughing at this. Was she telling a joke or something? Shion didn't move to deny it, but I felt a difference in temperature between her cool expression and Takano-san's. This whole conversation, well, I think you can imagine after hearing it, but it's the secret history of Hinamizawa. Everyone who has been in Hinamizawa for a long time knows it, but they don't talk about it. Takano-san's not from here, but she knows quite a lot. She really likes local history, folk legends, stuff like that. She learned about it all by herself too. I'm really not all that amazing. Just curious, that's all. Like a child. I just want to see scary things for the fun of it. Tomotaki-san laughed, a little bit embarrassed. Wait a minute. What does that mean? The other person who disappears during the incident. You're saying they're offered as a sacrifice? Yeah. Shion answers in one word before anyone else can speak. Someone dies, then someone disappears. Well, whether they actually get sacrificed or not is a different issue. But every time something happened in the past, one person died, and one other person disappeared. For example, the first one, where the dam site manager was killed. Apparently one of the people responsible for that still hasn't been arrested. Couldn't that just mean he managed to get away? I don't see why we should treat him as a sacrifice. Well, that's basically what I think too. There was also the year after that with the leader of the dam proponents. You said he fell from a cliff and died while on vacation, right? Apparently his wife fell as well. The police investigated fervently, but they were never able to find the wife's corpse. The river under the cliff was actually pretty high at the time, though. She could have just been buried under the sand at the bottom of some lake downstream or something. The perpetrator of a dismemberment like that wouldn't want to be caught, or so they'd be desperate to run away and hide too. I thought I'd heard about cases where the corpse wouldn't surface after the person drowned in a swelled river like that. She vanished because of an unfortunate accident, but I still didn't see the connection to sacrifices. If you took each of the past incidents in turn, none of the disappearance invoked that terrifying of an image. The year after that, with the priest suddenly falling ill and dying, is much clearer. His wife left a suicide note. They found it in their house the night the priest died. It said something along the lines of her quelling Oyashiro-sama's wrath through her death. The curse. It seems to turn up in this one, though. Well, we may never know the truth of the matter. The swamp the wife drowned herself in was the giant bottomless one Takano mentioned before. The police investigated it, but all they could find were several of her possessions. They never found the corpse. The police suspected it was a fake suicide, and they're still investigating it now. Someone dies every year, and in the same way, someone goes missing every year. Is she trying to tell me that everyone who vanished was kidnapped by some extremely efficient means and dumped into the bottomless swamp, still alive, and drowned to death? But a curse? That's unbelievable in its own right. And the next year, what was it? The dam proponent's sister-in-law? She was killed. And the same way, someone disappeared. It was a boy around my age named Satoshi Hojo. He's the nephew by marriage of the woman killed. Shion cut in with a slightly strong tone of voice. She knew the boy who had disappeared pretty well, at least that's the vibe I was getting. Well, that about sums everything up. One person always dies, and one person always suddenly disappears. Leaving the suddenness aside, the fact was that each incident involved one person disappearing. So that means the first person who dies is because of a Yoshiro-sama's curse, and the second person who vanishes is because the villagers sacrificed them. Is that it? Kei-chan, there is no curse. Somebody kills the first person under the guise of the curse, and someone takes away the second person to be a sacrifice. But Shion, that means the criminal is in the village. That's what I've been guessing from the start. It's pretty shocking though, you know? We live in the Showa period. It's kinda hard to believe people are committing murder like it's nothing, using some ancient justifications, huh? It didn't have anything to do with our discussion, but I got the feeling that maybe Shion didn't like Hinamizawa very much. Mion enjoyed talking about Hinamizawa and its epic tales, so she had avoided talking about Yoshiro-sama's curse, which didn't paint Hinamizawa in a good light, no matter how you looked at it. She was trying not to give me a bad impression of the village, so she didn't say anything. Shion, on the other hand, was somehow different. She wasn't rejecting the concept of the curse to purge Hinamizawa of this bad impression, but rather because she strongly believed that a member of the village was the criminal behind this. Her conviction seemed a bit removed from the tight sense of community held by the people of Hinamizawa. Once upon a time, they looked so alike you could mistake one for the other, but talking to her now, I was getting a powerful feeling that Shion had a completely different personality than Mion. Than everyone else. They all think someone from Hinamizawa did it, right? Neither Shion nor Takano-san answered that. The deafening silence told me all that needed to be said. Then let me ask another question. If someone from Hinamizawa is the culprit, then who is it? Neither Shion nor Takano-san had a reply to that question either. Though it may have been rude to ask, I had hoped they wouldn't have one. The reason I asked was to argue that their explanation that the culprit was from Hinamizawa was nothing more than one possibility. Shion caught on to my plan. She gave a pained smile at my petty spite and opened her mouth to speak. All I said really just amounts to circumstantial evidence anyway. If any of us knew who it really was, we'd have gotten them into police hands already, as would anybody. Then what about Takano-san? She too smiled dryly as Shion had and opened her own mouth. Well, I'd like to clear one thing up. I'm not a detective or anything, alright? In all honesty, I'm not really interested in who the culprit is. Takano-san, you sure are a handful. Toмотaki-san gives a bitter laugh at her surprising opinion on the matter. You see, I just like cruel and atrocious ancient traditions and fairy tales. I only enjoy them from a curious onlooker's perspective. So even for this string of incidents, it's not so much finding out who the culprit is, but enjoying thinking about how the old traditions displayed by the incidents themselves still seems to have some pretty deep roots around here. Well, I guess. Though she described herself as nothing more than a curious onlooker, her smile was as sharp as the tip of a blade. Woman like her felt very strange and a little scary to me. Maybe it's just that I was in fearful awe of the person whose emotions I couldn't comprehend. Well, I don't think any of this is interesting at all. The Watanagashi... my throat. The Watanagashi festival is coming up tomorrow, but I don't want anyone to die or disappear. Tomorrow, huh? That's right. It had completely slipped my mind. The string of murder incidents people attributed to Yoshiro-sama's curse, it wasn't over. If last year's incident wasn't the end, then tomorrow night at the festival, would someone die and someone disappear? Yes, I get the feeling it's gonna happen. I do wonder who will die tomorrow and who will disappear, though. Takano-san said, running a comb through her hair with elegant movements, with a thin smile and a voice that nearly made me shudder. She almost looked like she was enjoying the thought of the incidents that could happen tomorrow. I know that. Then out of the blue we heard a loud round of applause. They seemed to be ending the drinking party early. Right, I was making Mion wait this whole time, wasn't I? I should go back to her soon. You're teasing the kid too much, Takano-san. Now Keiichi-kun thinks it's all true. I apologize. It's that bad habit of mine again, said Takano-san, sticking out her tongue bashfully. The strangeness in her expression was nowhere to be found. When Takano-san sees an innocent child like you, she can't help wanting to poke fun at them. It's a real bad habit. Keiichi-kun, you listened to everything so earnestly that she ended up getting carried away. Unlike Takano-san, Toмотaki-san seemed like a totally normal person with common sense. They were apologizing after realizing what kind of impression they'd given me. The stuff Takano-san just said is all fiction. If it made you harbor any bad impressions about Hinamizawa, then we apologize for that. Jeez, Churu-san. You apologize too, Takano-san. Tell him you're sorry for scaring him. Takano-san and Toмотaki-san were arguing and messing around now. The strained air around us had already dissipated. Amazing. Kei-chan, you should get going soon too. Mion is the jealous type. If she sees me, she'll probably start a fight, so I'll just be going home. Really? Then I'll go see what Mion's doing and apologize for making her wait, I guess. Sorry for being such a nuisance, Keiichi-kun. Could you tell Mion-chan we're sorry for bothering you for so long? Ah, yes. I don't think telling her will make her feel any better, but sure. Toмотaki-san and Takano-san, standing next to each other, both began to chuckle. Okay then, Kei-chan. Let's try and run in... Oh man. Okay then, Kei-chan. Let's try and run into each other at tomorrow's festival. We'll see each other. I mean, it's us we're talking about after all. We'll be making so much trouble it'll be hard for you not to find us. Shion and I said our goodbyes to Toмотaki-san and Takano-san. Before we could leave, Takano-san called out to us. Thanks for listening so earnestly to what I had to say. You're just so good at listening. I had a great time talking to you. Good at listening? No, not at all. I was just in a state of perpetual bewilderment from all the shocking topics being thrown at me one after another. Did you like my story today? Well, it was pretty interesting. Then I'll tell you some more sometime, okay? There's a lot of pretty interesting legends and fairy tales about Hinamizawa. Of course, a lot of strange and creepy ones too. I'll choose a bunch of my favorites and tell you about them. I was kind of happy, but kind of worried. I get the same feeling too. I can't help but smile dryly and scratch at my head. Keiichi-kun, you can go now. Takano-san is just messing with you. They say goodbye again and run off. I heard Toмотaki-san call out behind him in a clear voice that we would see each other at the festival tomorrow. Well, what a very, very intense stories that I've experienced. Yeah. I'm gonna pause it here for now. So, next part, let's see how it's gonna go when Mion is taking the wait for too long. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you later. Have a good one.